the last class we have introduced to the concept of process synchronization. What is meant by process synchronization? What is meant by process we have seen, that is a program under execution. What is the difference between program and process we have seen, that is in addition to the program we will be having, in addition to the code which is nothing but the program, we will be having some other information like what is the CPU registers state, and what is the state of the process, what you call program, which in which state it is being executed. All this information we will be having, that we will be considering as process. Next, synchronization in the sense two or more process will be running at the same time concurrently. Okay, by utilizing some common resources, these all processes will be running. So that particular one we call it as process synchronization. And when we run two or more processes concurrently by utilizing some shared resources, then there will be some issues that will arise. So how we can consider those issues, how we can handle those issues, that's what we will be discussing. Yeah. Next, we have introduced to the concept of a race condition. What is meant by race condition? If two or more processes are working on one particular resource, okay, let us consider this is one variable, one data item. Okay, two or more processes are trying to modify this particular data item, then we can call this situation as race condition. Okay, in order to address this race condition problem, race condition is actually a problem. Okay, so in order to address this, there is one concept called critical section. Critical section in the sense, whenever a process wants to modify the common data item, shared data item, then that particular one, modification code, whatever the process has to execute, that will be part of the critical section. Okay, that is a sensitive part of the program we will consider as critical section. A process can execute these critical section instructions. Okay, only one process can execute these critical section instructions, like suppose modifying the data item. Okay, changing the data item can be done only one process at a time. Such kind of thing we will be considering as critical section. Okay, one famous problem called producer consumer problem, like producer will be there, consumer will be there. Producer will produce the data items and the consumer has to consume this data item, that is reading these data items. Okay, suppose these two process, producer is one process, consumer is one process. These two processes are utilizing same common buffer. Why? Because producer has to produce the items and put it in the buffer, and from this buffer only consumer has to take. Okay, this is the problem, what you call context. Now producer, while producing the item and putting in this particular common buffer, okay, this particular code should be considered as critical section. Why? Because while producing the item and placing in this particular buffer needs to be done, okay, what you call autonomously, like while putting the item in this particular one, consumer wants to get the item which is produced by what you call producer, then consumer will come to know that there is no item, but producer has produced and he is putting in the buffer. Okay, that synchronization problem will come. That's why we need to tackle this particular one in proper way, so that we will avoid this kind of situation. Okay, or in other context we can say buffer capacity is 5. Let us say buffer capacity is 5. Whenever consumer has consumed one item, then automatically the buffer size will be decremented by 1. Then buffer size will be 4. Then one vacant position will be created. Next, suppose two items, second item also consumed by consumer, then the buffer will be filled with 3 data items and 2 will be vacant. Now producer wants to produce the item and wants to place in the common buffer, then he could able to put. Let us consider 5 are filled. Consumer has consumed one thing. Okay, while consuming this particular one, producer wants to see whether he could able to produce an item and place it in the buffer or not. What's the buffer capacity? 5. How many data items we have now? While consuming this one, the buffer capacity, what you call, number of items in the buffer will be 5 only. Then producer will come to know that 5 already filled, so I cannot produce an item. So but yeah, actually these two operations, that is getting the buffer information, how many vacant slots are there, and consuming this particular item, both are being performed simultaneously. Then although one data item is being consumed by consumer, that cannot be known to producer, then what will happen? He will feel that there is no space to place the there is no place to place the new data item whatever he has produced. So that is making synchronization problem. Okay, this is another sort of synchronization problem. One is whenever he is trying to put the data item, at that time only consumer wants to consume it, then he will come to know that buffer is empty, but he has produced, and he is putting the data item in the he is placing the data item in the common buffer. This is the first problem. Another type of problem is whenever buffer is full and he wants to consumer wants to consume it, and producer wants to produce an item and place it in the buffer parallelly, then it may result in synchronization problem. So these things we can address by using several vertical approaches. Okay, the race condition is nothing but depending upon the interleaved execution of operations, we will be getting different results. Like this example we have seen in the last class. If a counter value is 5, then we will be incrementing, and here we are decrementing the counter value. So here it will become 6, and here we are decrementing the counter, so it will become 5 again. If we execute these two one after the another, either let us consider this as x, this as y, x followed by y, or y followed by x. In both the cases this counter value will be 5 only. But if you allow interleaved execution, that means after this it may execute two of this, after these two it may execute these two, after this it may execute this one, then the value will be inconsistent. Like we may get 4 as depicted in this example, or we may get 6 also. If you interchange one of the two statements, then we will get 6 as well. So this is inconsistency. Okay, this particular problem we call it as race condition. That is, two or more processes are trying to modify the data item at the same time simultaneously, then race condition will occur. This is the example for inconsistency where which will be resulted from this race condition. Right, now this critical section we have introduced already. This critical section where we will be having certain code. Okay, we will modify the common variables, common data we will be modifying. That is what the part of the critical section. So according to our discussion, if two process allows to modify this critical section at the same time, what will happen? We will get inconsistent results. Synchronization problems will come. That's why into this critical section only one process should enter. Okay, that is the main what you call requirement of maintaining this critical section. Okay, that we call it as mutual exclusion. Okay, this is very important term to know, mutual exclusion. In the sense, suppose if two processes are there, P1 and P2, then if P1 is in critical section, then P2 should not be in critical section, and vice versa. If P2 is in critical section, P1 should not be in critical section. Okay, this particular property we call it as mutual exclusion. Okay, what is meant by critical section? Critical section is the segment of code where we will modify the shared data item or common data item. Okay, that is what critical section. What is mutual exclusion? It is a condition in which only one process can enter into critical section at a time. Okay, that is what mutual exclusion. Okay, while maintaining this particular critical section, we will be having three sections, namely entry section, critical section, exit section. Entry section, before entering into critical section, we have to satisfy certain criteria, then only a process could able to enter into critical section. Next, after entering into critical section, what we will execute? Whatever the modification code for the shared data item, that we will be having in critical section here. Okay, next, exit section means while coming out of this critical section, what are the necessary things we have to restore so that another process could able to enter into critical section, that we will be having in exit section. Try to understand this basic why we are having these three sections, then further every concept can be understood based upon this particular vertical understanding. Like why we are having entry section, critical section, exit section. First of all, what is meant by critical section? Critical section is nothing but common data, modification of common data, whatever the code we are having, that we consider as critical section. Next, in order to modify the common data, okay, in order to modify the common data, we need to satisfy certain criteria. That criteria we will be having in entry section. Whenever that criteria is satisfied, then only we will enter into critical section. Next, after entering, we will be modifying the data item. Afterwards, while coming out of the critical section, we have to restore back, or we have to perform um, certain restoring uh, policy. Okay, certain restoring policies, so that other process which are waiting to enter into critical section can utilize, okay, can enter into critical section. Okay, let us consider p1 p2 are the two process which wants to execute or which wants to enter into critical section. Then p1 will check its entry section, that means what is the criteria to be satisfied. P2 also wants to enter, so P2 also will check what is the criteria to enter. Okay, if let us assume P1 has satisfied the entry criteria, that means entry section it has completed its execution, then it will enter into critical section and it will modify the data common data item. While coming out of this, it will restore the, it will perform certain things while coming out of this critical section, so that it may help uh, it may help P2 to satisfy this entry criteria. Understand? This particular restoration, this particular exit section instruction will help P2 to enter into critical section. Why? Because it has to satisfy this entry criteria. Because of this, it could able to satisfy the entry criteria, then it also could able to enter into its critical section. After this critical section, it will also restore the vertical variables or the state, so that exit section, this one here, so that other process could able to enter into their critical sections. Okay, this is what the overall picture. Try to understand. I'm repeating once again. If you understand this one, then remaining all things will go smoothly. That's why I'm stressing on this. Yeah, let us consider we are having two process p1 p2. P1 wants to enter into critical section, P2 wants to enter into critical section. Both process wants to enter into critical section. In order we are having here, see, how many sections we are having in this? Three. Okay, entry section, critical section, exit section. Process cannot enter into critical section directly without satisfying the entry section criteria. Okay, this is the first one. It has to satisfy this criteria, then only it will enter into critical section, which is the second one. So first P1 will what you call test for the criteria, whether criteria is satisfied or not. Similarly, P2 also will check for that entry section, that whether criteria is satisfied or not. Let us assume P1 has satisfied the criteria, so P1 has passed, but P2 has failed. P2 has failed to satisfy that criteria. What is that criteria we will be seeing? Okay, just as of now you assume that some criteria is there to enter into critical section. Now as P1 has passed this criteria, satisfied this criteria, P1 would able to enter into critical section. What is the number, what is the sequence? 2. Okay, P1 will enter into critical section, so it will perform whatever the sensitive operations we have. Those all operations will be performed on shared data item or common data item. Okay, that will be done. So after completing its critical section, P1 will perform exit section. That means some modification of the entry variables and all, some variables will be restored, or variable values will be changed. Okay, that will be done as the exit section. Okay, so now 1 2 3, okay, all these things will be done by P1. Now earlier this particular entry criteria was not satisfied by P2. Okay, but due to this particular modification, that is P1 is modifying the entry variables state here while exiting from critical section, it will modify the entry variables state, so that this will trigger another action that P2 could able to satisfy this criteria. Try to understand the point. Because of this, P2 could able to satisfy this entry criteria, then it could able to enter into critical section. Yes or no? Yes, please respond, ma. Yes, please respond, ma. Is it clear or not? Because of this modification, that is in third section, that is exit section, we will P1 modifies some of the entry variable values. Because of this, it could able to trigger P2 that it satisfies the entry criteria. Whenever it satisfies the entry criteria, automatically it could able to enter into critical section. What's the number of critical section? 2. So it will perform 2. After completing critical section, it will also modify the entry variable values in some way. Okay, that is third section will also be executed by P2. Okay, this is one scenario. There is no guarantee that always P1 only will satisfy the entry criteria first, and after completing P1 only P2 will execute. It's not like that. Try to understand here. One is the entry section that will be executed by both P1 and P2 at a time. Let us say which one will satisfy the entry criteria, that process only will be enter into critical section. P2 could able to satisfy the this criteria prior to P1 as well. Then after satisfying this, P2 will execute critical section. While coming out of the critical section, it will restore some of the variables, so that P1 could able to enter into critical section. Okay, there is no guarantee that after P2 definitely P1 will enter into critical section. There is no guarantee, but in general we will be having this kind of format. Why we are having these three sections, I hope you understand. Yes, yes, please respond, ma. Bhargav. Gayatri. Yeah, thank you. And we have seen several several solutions towards this particular problem. One is a Decker's solution, although it is not mentioned explicitly in your syllabus. This turn variable attempt was made by the scientist called Deckers. He has attempted several times. Okay, finally he has given one of the what you call convincing solution, but it is not fully functionable. Next, Peterson solution. He has utilized this Decker's attempt, and he has introduced some other. He has mixed with some other what you call logic, and he has given one solution. Okay, what is Decker's thing is by using turn variable. What's the problem with this turn variable is, suppose turn is for p1. Okay, turn is for p1, then p1 will execute. While coming out of the critical section, it will make the turn value as 2. That means p2 could able to enter into critical section. Suppose p1 wants to execute the critical section again, then it cannot enter until p2 enters into critical section. That is the problem. This problem we call it as, any answers? This problem we call it as, in the last class we have discussed, strict alteration. Strict alteration. That means after p1, p2 has to execute, then only, that means p2 has to enter into critical section, then only p1 could able to enter into critical section again. Okay, suppose p2 was not ready to enter into critical section, then p1 also should wait. Okay, that is the problem called strict alteration. Okay, that results from this Decker's attempt. But if you consider Peterson solution, in addition to turn variable, we will make use of flag variable as well. Flag for each and every process we will be maintaining, whether it is ready to execute or not. Turn is whether it's turn or not. Afterwards, whether it is available ready to execute the critical section or not. That we will maintain by using the variable called flag. Now, flag variable we will be having for each and every process. That's why we will be using an array to store flag variable. Like 4 process if we have, we will be maintaining an array of size 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this we will be maintaining. And whenever it is true, what does it mean? P2 process is ready to execute. Can we have more than one true in this particular array? Yes, please answer. Can we have more than one true in this particular array? Yes or no? Answer. Shall I repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Here, flag variable is to indicate whether one particular process is ready to execute or not. Okay, if flag variable is true, then what does it mean? P2 is ready to execute. Flag variable is flag of 3 is true, means P3 is ready to execute. Now the question is, shall we have more than one true here in this array? More than one true, in the sense it is not to indicate more than one process is in critical section. More than one process wants to enter into critical section and they are ready to execute. They are ready to execute. If their turn comes immediately, they could able to enter into critical section. That's what the flag variable indicates. Understand? Now the question is, can we have more than one true? Yes. Yeah. We
Time
can have.
sharing, is it related to time sharing? Two processes running at simultaneously.
Time sharing, it's not directly related to time sharing. It is a kind of a cooperating process. Simultaneously, two or more process wants to utilize the same data item, wants to access or wants to update the data item, then we will consider the modification code as critical section. This is the critical section, isn't it? So now this critical section, when a process could able to enter into critical section, for that we are preparing a criteria. Like we will be having three sections, right? Entry section, critical section, then exit section. This entry section we are trying to focus. Why? Because due to this entry section only, critical section will be maintained to satisfy the condition that mutual exclusion, only one process can enter into critical section. This particular property we could able to achieve based upon this entry section, entry criteria. Okay, in this entry criteria we are using this flag variable and of course turn variable as well. Flag variable in the sense whether process is ready to execute or not. Now all process can be ready to execute, but which process to allow, that will be depending on this turn variable. Try to understand. Yes, any doubt? Yes, Bhargav, any doubt, ma?
No, sir, nothing.
Okay. Now flag variable can be true for all the process. That means all process are ready to execute. But whether all process will be enter into critical section, can we allow all the process at a time? No. So that will be controlled by using the variable called turn variable. Okay. If the turn is 3, then if turn is 3, which process can enter into critical section? P3. Now suppose flag variable for this 3 is false. That means even though the turn is 3, that P3 is not ready to enter into critical section, can we need to wait until it gets ready? No. That time we can give access to another process which is ready. So we will, based upon this particular intuition only, Peterson has given the solution. I am repeating once again, try to understand. If a turn is 3, then flag variable will be checked. If a flag of 3 is also true, okay, turn is 3, then P3 could able to enter into critical section. Why? Because P3 is ready to execute and it is P3's turn. Now the situation will come like P1 is ready to execute, but turn is 2. That means it is a second process turn, but P1 is ready to execute. Can P1 able to enter into critical section? Yes or no? Turn is 2, but P1 is ready to execute. Can we allow P1? Yes or no? I will ask the question again, try to understand. Turn value is 2. That means second process could able to enter into critical section if it is ready. But second process is not ready, but first process is ready. Can we allow now first process to enter into critical section? With this condition, we should not allow. In that particular case, how we have to handle? This is what addressed by Peterson. Earlier, when we use only turn variable, if a turn is 2, then second process could able to enter into critical section. If turn is 3, only third process could able to enter into critical section. Suppose turn is 3, process 3 is not ready to execute, then process 2 also needs to wait. Okay, process 2 also cannot progress. That is what the disadvantage in Decker's attempt. Okay, that is this one. But if we use this flag variable, what will happen is, if turn value is okay, if turn value is 2, but corresponding turn value what you call flag variable, that means whether P2 is ready to execute or not, we will check. If this is false, okay, if P2 is not ready to execute but it is its turn, then we will stop waiting. Why? Because at that particular time another process may be ready to execute, so we can give chance to that particular process. This is the intuition. Got the point? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now based upon this, yeah, I will show you this. Yeah, here you consider a process pi is executing like this. Process pi is ready to execute. That means flag variable associated with this pi is set to true. Okay, and it will assume that it is the process, it is the turn of j. Okay, another process turn. Now it will check whether flag of j is true or not, and turn is anyway j. Okay, turn is anyway j, so this condition is true, and flag of j, whether it is true or not, it will check. If flag of j is true, what does it mean? Just to answer this one independent question, if flag of j is true, what does it mean? Hmm. If flag of j is true, don't consider previous thing, just flag of j is true, then what does it mean? Hmm. pj is ready to execute. Yes or no? If a flag of j is true, what does it mean? Process pj is ready to execute. That is what the meaning of flag of j is true. Okay, this we have discussed, right? Yes, please respond, ma.
Yesterday, sir. Yes.
Yeah, today also we have discussed na, in the previous slide,
Right.
flag
Yes, sir.
variable 1 2 3, if it is true, this is ready to execute. This particular process is ready to execute. If I is there, I flag of I is also true, what does it mean? pi is also ready to execute. Now let us consider what is the this particular while condition. Flag of j, in the sense whether it is true or not, we are checking. If it is true and turn value is j, what does it mean? Jth process is pj is ready to execute and it is jth turn, then can we able to execute pi? Try to understand, it is jth turn. Okay, turn is j, and pj is ready to execute. Now critical section can be entered by
PJ.
pj. uh, pi could able to enter or not? Now, yes or no? pj could able to enter into critical section. Why? Because it is a jth turn and pj is ready to execute, so pj will enter. Now any other process could able to enter into critical section?
No, sir.
No. That means pi has to wait. That's why we are having here semicolon. Until this condition is true, it has to wait. It keep on checking this. Whenever flag becomes or turn value becomes other than j, this condition will be failed, right? Yes or no? If turn value becomes not equal to j, if turn value is not equal to j, automatically this condition will be failed. Then pi could able to enter into critical section. Try to understand the logic. Yesterday we have seen what is how this while loop will execute whenever we have semicolon, right? So until this particular condition is true, it will be repeated. Whenever it becomes false, then this loop will be terminated and immediately we will enter into critical section. Okay, while coming out of this critical section, what are the what is the restoration process is? As this process has executed the critical section, flag of I, that is flag of this particular pi process, will set to false. This will become false, so that another process which wants to enter into critical section can sense by using this particular one, it could able to enter into critical section, as we have discussed earlier. P1 P2 1 2 3 we have seen, right, in this class only. Based upon that, and another process will get chance. Try to understand one simple point. Flag value will be set to true. Afterwards turn is j, then now we will check Yes, turn is j, we will be checking whether flag variable of jth process is true or not. If it is true, what does it mean? J process is pj is ready to execute and it is jth turn, then it could able to enter into critical section. That is pj will enter, then pi has to wait. Pi has to wait. When pi could able to enter into critical section, whenever pj completes its execution, okay, then it will set flag of j as false. Whenever flag of j as false, this condition will be failed. Yes or no? Then this loop will be terminated, then pi could able to enter into critical section. Just a simple assumption you have to make, like this is pi. Okay, fine. Similar kind of thing you assume for pj as well. Similar kind of thing you assume for pj. Then what will be the code in pj? Flag of j is equal to true and turn is equal to I, while flag of I and turn is equal to I, it has to wait. Then critical section, flag of j is equal to false, remainder section. Like this you assume another code for pj as well. Now whenever it is a jth turn and pj is ready to execute, then it will enter into critical section. Why? Because whatever the condition here we will be having, that will be failed. Then it will enter into critical section. After execution, flag of j will be set to false. Why? Because similar code we will be having here, right? So flag of j will be set to false. Then whatever the process, that is pi, which is waiting here for that particular process, flag of j will be false, so this condition will be failed. It will enter into critical section. Got it? This is Peterson solution. Yes, is it clear, ma?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Mm. Now we will be seeing one software solution for this kind of critical section problem. Okay, that is called mutex locks. Mutex locks is one of the software solutions, like programmatic solutions, where we will be using two types of procedures. One is acquire, another one is release. Acquire and release, it is like let us assume, I think last class some example I have told you, uh, like pocket money will be kept in one particular locker. Okay, one particular drawer in your home. Okay, your father has put pocket money, then or some common money. Whoever wants to access this, that is wants to get this money, they have to open the lock. Okay, open the lock. Then only one key we will be having. Let us assume the context like this: only one key we will be having for this lock. Then whoever wants to open this, whoever wants to access this money, they have to get this key. Yes or no? They have to acquire this lock or key, we can say, in our context, key. So they have to acquire the key. After getting the money, he has to release that key. Okay, he has to give that key to some other one. Okay, that is what the intuition here. Mutex lock, in the sense, at a time only one process could able to enter into critical section. Same thing, for that purpose we will make use of lock. So while entering into critical section, any process needs to acquire the lock. Whenever it acquires the lock, that process could able to enter into critical section. While coming out of the critical section, it has to release the lock, so that another process could able to acquire the lock. That is the intuition. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now two process we have, P1, P2. P2 has acquired the lock. P1 also wants to acquire the lock. P2 has acquired the lock and enter into critical section. Then P1 has to wait. Okay, what it has to do is, it has to wait here. Whenever it really P2 releases the lock, then P1 could able to acquire the lock. So P1 keep on waiting here. Okay, when P2 comes out of this critical section, then P1 would able to enter into critical section. So this particular situation we call it as busy waiting. P1 has to keep on waiting until P2 exits from the critical section. Okay, that process we call it as busy waiting. That situation we call it as busy waiting. Not only P1, P2, even if you consider 3, 4 process, one process has acquired the lock and enter into critical section. Then until it comes out of the critical section, other process needs to check whether lock is that key is free or not, whether we could able to enter or not. Like this, keep on searching. Okay, keep on what you call inquiring about lock state. That is called busy waiting. Okay, this particular one can be called as spin lock as well. Why? Because every time we will be checking here, it is like just a simple thing. You consider you went for doctor appointment. Okay, at a time only one person could able to enter into doctor's cabin. Okay, you will be sitting here. Okay, on chairs. Then you will, whenever you get the turn, you could enter into doctor's cabin. Okay, whether he has left the doctor cabin, okay, previous patient completed or not, you have to go and see. If you see doctor is what you call seeing the previous patient itself, then you will come back here and sit again. This process also will do same thing. This process also will do same thing in general. So this process is like going there and coming back to here, going there, coming back to here. That's why this busy waiting can be called as spin lock as well. Got the intuition here? Yes. Why we are calling this as a spin lock? Every time a process will check what is the lock status, whether it could able to acquire the lock or not. It will check accordingly. It will wait if it is not if it could not able to acquire the lock. So this process will be repeated for several times. That's why it is called busy waiting, and this particular lock we call it as spin lock. Clear? Next, now we will see the implementation of this acquire and release. Acquire in the sense we will be maintaining a variable called available. Okay, we will be maintaining a variable called available. There is no restriction to use the same name here, but this will give some sort of intuition. That's why they have used here. If it is not available, okay, if lock is not available, that's why here not, then it has to wait, right? That's why semicolon. While not available, it has to wait, keep on waiting. That is busy waiting. Okay, next, release in the sense available, we have to make it as true. Release in the sense available, we have to make it as true. Then another process will check available, whether it is available or not. At that time, if available is true, what does it mean? This particular condition will be failed. Then it will enter into, it will acquire the lock. Then available, it has to make it as false. It is like doctor is here. Now he has got the token. Okay, he will be checking for the token. Whenever he gets the token, then he will enter and he will close the door, isn't it? He will close the door so that another vertical, another patient could not enter. Like that, available, whenever it is available, then he will enter into doctor's room. Then he will make available as false. That means the doctor will not be available for some other patient. That is what the meaning. That's why available as false. This is the implementation of acquire. Similarly, release in the sense whenever he comes out of it, a doctor is available, like that he will make. While coming out of this, he will tell another patient that available doctor is available. That means available is equal to true. So that another process, another patient who is waiting here could able to enter into doctor's cabin, and he will tell that doctor is not available after entering. This is the intuition. Got it? Now how we can implement this here is acquire lock, then enter into critical section, then release the lock. These three sections which are mandatory, which we have seen earlier. Yes, any doubts so far? Yes, it's clear, ma. Yes, please respond.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah. Next, here if you consider, we are having a common data item, okay, common area. Every patient should consider the same lock. He has to get the same lock, and all these process needs to wait here. Okay, instead of that, if you consider, there exist several doctors. It is like general consultation only, so this doctor also could able to see any of the patients. Okay, then the mechanism, how we could establish the mechanism is like, we will have lock here, and we will have lock here as well. Yes or no? Two doctors we have. We will have doctor here, lock here, and here also we'll have lock here. And let us assume like this. Mm, yeah, we are having two types of doctors. Okay, one doctor will see, um, one doctor is a general physician, another doctor is a mm, like a cardiologist. Okay, for this doctor we are having set of patients. Okay, next, for this doctor we are having set of patients, so we will be having separate locks. Yes or no? Here also we'll be having a lock, here also we'll be having a lock. Now, how we can maintain this? If you consider this mutex locks, what does it mean? Only one doctor will be having, only one lock will be having, all the process needs to acquire that lock only. But if you consider this kind of situation, then mutex will not work. What can work is a special type of a synchronization mechanism called semaphores. Semaphores is a synchronization mechanism, okay, where we could able to maintain this kind of scenario. That means we are having several buffers kind of thing, and for each buffer we need to we will be having critical section. We need to maintain a synchronization mechanism. There can be multiple process which wants to execute or which want to modify the shared area simultaneously. Here also set of process we have which wants to modify, which want to modify common data, shared data. This is what the situation. Here we will make use of semaphore. So to handle this particular one, we will be maintaining a semaphore. Let us name the semaphore name as S1. To handle this situation, we will be maintaining another semaphore. Let us name that particular semaphore as S2. There can be multiple semaphores in one particular system, and that can each semaphore could able to maintain the synchronization associated with one common area. Here also this S2 will maintain the synchronization associated with this particular common area. Got it? The intuition. In the next class we will be seeing what is meant by semaphore and how these can be defined and all. Okay, as of now you need to understand what is mutex locks and what is this acquire and release, and how we could able to implement. Is it clear? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Yes, thank you, ma.